Have you ever felt watched by someone who isn't supposed to be paying attention? Someone who knows your every move, your every secret, but doesn't speak, yet somehow makes your heart race. This is my story. My mom's new tenant seemed quiet, harmless until one night, everything changed. What would you do if curiosity and danger collided in your own home? My mom's new tenant had been living in the spare room for a few weeks, but he never said much. His name was Igor. He was 46, quiet, and always seemed to appear just when I didn't expect him. From the very beginning, there was something about him. The way he observed me, the faint smirk when I caught him staring, the way he moved like he knew exactly where I would be next. I used to think I was imagining it. But the night my mom left for a few days changed everything. I stepped out of the shower, wrapped myself in a long shirt, and slowly walked to my room. I assumed the house was empty except for me. But then the door creaked, and he was there. Standing in the doorway, eyes scanning me. Lingering too long. Cold, he asked softly, but there was an edge in his voice. I shrugged. It's warm here. He walked closer. Still, you should put on something else. You're distracting. I smiled, trying to keep calm. And what exactly were you thinking about? He didn't answer, only looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Really seeing me. Then, he said quietly, I thought you were careful, but maybe you're more dangerous than I expected. And with that, he turned and left, leaving the door slightly ajar. My heart was racing. Something about that look, that tone, something my blood on fire and curiosity alive. I closed the door halfway and climbed into bed, but sleep refused me. His words lingered. Dangerous. That single word burned into my mind. Morning came. He acted like nothing had happened, pouring coffee, handing me breakfast. But when I looked up, he smirked. You went to bed late. How do you know? I asked over my cup. He shrugged, leaning closer. I just know. Be careful with little details, or I'll notice everything. All day, we circled each other. He brushed past me too close, lingered too long, and I felt the tension coil tighter with each glance. By evening, I wore the same shirt on purpose, and he noticed immediately. His eyes traced down my body for a fraction too long. You're wearing that again, he said, voice tight, controlled. It's comfortable, I replied. Problem? No. Quite the opposite. Distracting? He murmured. Then he passed me, shoulder brushing mine, and glanced back. You know exactly what you're doing. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak, every shadow, felt like him. When I finally heard footsteps, I peeked through my door. He stood by the window, dark and quiet, like a predator waiting. Water. Or another reason. He whispered. I stepped closer. Maybe both. He turned slowly, eyes dark, and said nothing. Just moved back to his room, leaving the door open slightly. I followed without thinking. In the quiet, his presence filled the room. His hand brushed mine, soft at first, then firmer. His voice low. I can't pretend anymore. I whispered back. You don't have to. For the first time, the house felt electric. Every look, every movement, held meaning. By morning, it was calm, but nothing was the same. The tension remained unspoken, dangerous, mysterious. Days passed. He left notes. Tonight again. Quietly. I waited, heart racing. He moved like a shadow through the house, always watching, always close. Every step, every glance, set my nerves on fire. And then, one night, he whispered, Do you want to escape? To not hide anymore? My heart pounded. I nodded. Less. The next day, he told my mom he had to travel for work. I was going to a friend's. But we drove away, rented a small apartment, and for the first time, we were free. Walking the streets, hand in hand, laughing, feeling alive. Even in the apartment, he was quiet, intense, magnetic. He leaned close, voice low. This is how I want to live. No more secrets, I smiled. Then let's not wait. The days became a game of stolen moments, quiet touches, whispers in the dark. His presence was like fire and ice, dangerous, yet addictive. I realized that what had seemed forbidden before, the closeness, the unspoken tension, had become something I craved. Later, we planned a new start. Tickets were booked to a small seaside town. For the first time, I laughed freely with him, held his hand openly, kissed him without hiding. The world outside no longer mattered. He opened a boat repair shop by the sea. I worked at a local cafe. Every evening, barefoot on the beach, every kiss, every laugh, every moment was ours. The tension, the curiosity, the thrill of the unknown, it never left. And then one day, he whispered behind me while I washed dishes, "I'm glad you followed through that first." Smiled. I smiled. "And you? Ever since I first saw you," he said. "In that shirt." I laughed softly. "So it all started there?" "No," he murmured, eyes dark and mysterious. "It all started with you." Even now, the thrill remained. Dangerous, magnetic, mysterious, and impossible to resist. The past, the boundaries, the rules, all gone. All that mattered was the present we chose together. Nights with him were never ordinary. Even when he wasn't speaking, his presence filled the room with electricity. I could feel him moving around quietly, leaning close just enough for me to notice. I knew he was watching, always calculating, always careful, but there was something about the way he lingered that made my heart race. One evening, I deliberately put on the same shirt and went to the kitchen for a glass of water. He was sitting at the table, his laptop open, pretending to read. But when I stepped closer, his eyes followed me, tracing every movement. I leaned against the counter, trying not to show how aware I was of him. "You're wearing that again," he said softly, but there was a tension in his voice, a restraint I could feel. "It's just comfortable," I replied, letting my voice carry a little more confidence than I felt. "No, it's not just comfortable," he said quietly, closing his laptop. "It's distracting." He stood slowly, moving past me, his shoulder brushing mine, close enough that I could feel his presence, yet distant enough to leave me wanting more. He stopped at the door, glancing back over his shoulder. "You know exactly what you're doing." I felt a shiver run down my spine. Even when he said nothing more, everything he did spoke volumes. That night, sleep was impossible. Every creak of the house, every shadow in the hallway made my stomach twist with anticipation. I tried to ignore it, tried to read a book, but my eyes kept drifting toward his room. I could hear faint movements, the soft brush of fabric against furniture, and my imagination ran wild. Around midnight, I heard footsteps. He passed my door without knocking, but I could feel his gaze on me. I opened my door slightly and peeked into the hall. He was standing by the window, t-shirt and sweatpants, almost like he was waiting for me to make the next move. "Water?" he asked, voice low, smooth. "Or did you come out here for another reason?" I stepped closer, heart pounding. "Maybe both." He turned slowly, eyes dark and unreadable, and then just moved back toward his room, leaving the door slightly open. Without thinking, I followed. I walked in, quietly closing the door behind me. He didn't say a word, only turned to look at me with those piercing eyes. "I can't pretend anymore," he whispered, voice soft but intense. "I can't act like I don't notice you, that I don't want this." "You don't have to," I whispered back. That night, the house felt different. It wasn't just tension or curiosity anymore. It was alive, charged, a game we were both part of. Every glance, every subtle movement, said things words couldn't. The danger, the thrill, the mystery, it was addictive. Morning came quietly. He was already awake, sitting by the window, staring outside. I moved silently, making coffee, frying eggs. Our eyes met occasionally, speaking more than words ever could. No awkwardness, no pretense. Just a shared secret, a silent understanding. Later, he left a note on the kitchen table, "Tonight again." Quietly, I felt my pulse quicken. The entire day was spent counting hours, minutes, seconds. Every sound, every shadow, made me imagine what was coming. When night fell, I was ready. I lay in bed, waiting, the tension coiling tighter with each passing minute. The door creaked, and he appeared, dark, mysterious, magnetic. No words were needed. He came close, his presence filling the room, and I could feel the quiet control he held, the careful restraint, the dangerous energy that made everything feel alive. We spoke in whispers, laughed quietly, moved in synchrony, every look and touch saying more than words. It wasn't reckless. It wasn't accidental. It was deliberate, slow, precise, a dance we had been rehearsing in silence. Eventually, he fell beside me, still tense in small ways, like he was guarding something. Me, the secret, the moment. I lay next to him, listening to his breathing, feeling the weight of all that unspoken danger and excitement. Somehow, I knew I had stepped into a story I couldn't leave, and I didn't want to. The next day, everything felt lighter. No pretense, no hidden glances. Just us, moving through the house like we belonged, like the tension was now part of the air we breathed. Breakfast was quiet but full of meaning. Every small touch, every smile, every glance reinforced what had begun. Later, he mentioned leaving town for a work trip, and I was supposedly going to a friend's. But instead, we drove to a small, unfamiliar town, rented a quiet apartment, and for the first time, the mystery didn't feel dangerous. It felt like freedom. Walking the streets together, laughing without hiding, holding hands, it was a new beginning. The curiosity, the tension, the danger. It never fully left. It only became part of who we were together, part of the silent understanding between us, the unspoken thrill that neither of us could resist. Even now, weeks later, when I see him move quietly through the house, when I feel his eyes on me, when he speaks in that low, smooth voice, I remember the first nights. The fear, the curiosity, the electricity. It's still alive, still potent, still irresistible. And somehow I know it always will be. Days passed, but the intensity didn't fade. Every time he moved around the house, I felt it. The electricity, the quiet observation, the weight of someone who noticed everything about me. Even ordinary moments felt charged: him making coffee, me washing dishes, him passing by the hallway. Nothing was ordinary anymore. One evening, I was reading in my room when I heard a soft knock. His voice, low and careful, came from the doorway. "You awake?" I looked up, pretending surprise. "I was just reading." "Good," he said, stepping inside quietly. His eyes scanned the room slowly, as if memorizing every detail, every shadow. "I needed to see you. Just for a moment." There was something about the way he moved, deliberate, silent, and almost magnetic. My pulse quickened. I didn't move closer, didn't speak first, but the tension between us said more than words ever could. "You know," he murmured, leaning against the wall, "I've never met anyone like you. Careful, unpredictable, dangerous." I swallowed hard, pretending to stay calm. "Dangerous? Me? Yes," he said softly, eyes locked on mine. "Dangerous in a way I can't stop noticing." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The way he lingered, the quiet intensity, the almost invisible pull toward him, that was answer enough. Over the next few days, the same rhythm repeated. Every glance, every touch, every shared space became a game we played silently. He left notes, sometimes playful, sometimes just a word, "Tonight." I counted the hours, imagined his presence, felt the house shrink around us until it was just the two of us, the tension, the curiosity, the unspoken connection. One night, I found myself standing by the window, the same shirt I had worn the first night clinging to me. He appeared silently behind me, almost a shadow, yet impossibly real. "You're waiting for me," he said softly. "I am," I admitted, voice barely above a whisper. He smiled faintly, the kind of smile that made everything feel both dangerous and thrilling. "Good. I like it when you wait." We spent the night in quiet proximity. No words needed. Every small gesture, every careful step, every look across the room spoke volumes. It was a slow, deliberate dance, a connection built on curiosity and careful control. Neither of us rushed. Neither of us broke the rhythm. Morning came, and for the first time, the house felt like a sanctuary rather than a trap. The tension was still there, but it was now woven into something fragile and intimate. A secret we shared, a thrill we understood without words. He left a note on the counter. "Tonight again." Quietly, as always. Even though I knew it was coming, anticipation sharpened my senses all day. Every sound in the house made me turn, every shadow seemed alive. I was caught in a mix of excitement and fear, curiosity and desire. A combination that left me breathless. Weeks later, he suggested we leave town for a few days. A change of scenery, he said, eyes glowing with unspoken plans. We rented a small apartment in a quiet seaside town, away from familiar faces. Walking through the streets, laughing openly, holding hands, and sharing stolen smiles. It was a new world. Free, mysterious, and entirely ours. The rhythm we had developed followed us. Even in a new place, every touch, every glance, every quiet movement held the same thrilling tension. The curiosity, the danger, the intensity, it was alive, and it pulled me in every time. Sitting on the balcony, listening to the waves, I realized something. The mystery was never just about him. It was about us. About the unspoken game we played, the subtle dance of tension and attention, the thrill of danger without rules, the magnetic pull that neither of us could resist. And in that quiet moment, I understood the story wasn't just beginning. It had already begun. Every glance, every note, every shadowed step, every whispered word, had drawn us into something deeper, something addictive, something impossible to walk away from. Even now, With the sun rising over the sea, his presence beside me feels like both a promise and a secret, something thrilling, mysterious, and entirely ours. And I know, no matter what happens, that curiosity, that tension, that dangerous spark, it will never fade. Days turned into a week, and the tension between us grew like a silent storm. Every morning, I would wake to find him already awake, quietly moving around the house. He never spoke much, but his presence was enough. Every glance, every small gesture, every shadow of a smile seemed loaded with meaning. I found myself watching him too, trying to read the unreadable, trying to understand the mystery that drew me closer every day. One afternoon, I was in the kitchen, stirring tea, when he appeared behind me, silent as always. I felt the heat from his body without seeing his face. He leaned close, just enough for me to notice the faint scent of him. "You've been thinking about last night," he said softly. I tried to keep calm. "Maybe a little," I admitted. "That's dangerous," he whispered. "Curiosity like that, it always leads somewhere." I shivered. His words were not a warning, yet they felt like one. There was a thrill in the danger, an irresistible pull I couldn't deny. He stepped away slowly, leaving the room quieter than before, yet somehow heavier. I couldn't shake the feeling that the house itself had changed. That every corner, every shadow, held a secret we shared. That evening, I left a note for him, playful but deliberate. "Tonight. Don't be late." He appeared just before midnight, exactly as I expected, his dark eyes scanning the room. He didn't say a word, only came closer, moving with the quiet grace that had always unnerved me. We spoke in whispers, moving carefully, each gesture deliberate, a dance of tension and curiosity. He left as silently as he came, but his presence lingered in the room, and I stayed awake long after, feeling the pull of something I couldn't explain, something I wanted more than anything. The following day, he suggested we escape for a little while. "A few days away," he said, eyes glinting with mischief. "No distractions, no one watching, just us." We rented a small apartment by the sea, far from familiar faces. For the first time, the tension between us was free. No walls, no secrets, no quiet glances from across the hall. Walking through the empty streets, hand in hand, we laughed and felt alive in a way that was impossible at home. Every moment was charged, every smile and touch carrying the same thrill we had felt in silence for weeks. Even in this freedom, he remained a mystery. He watched me carefully, studied my every movement, never revealing all he thought, always keeping me guessing. The curiosity I had felt from the start had grown into something deeper. An addictive fascination that neither of us could resist. Nights by the sea were quiet, intimate, yet always charged with unspoken tension. We spoke softly, laughed quietly, moved carefully, each gesture deliberate, each glance full of meaning. The house, the apartment, the world outside, it didn't matter. All that mattered was the pull between us, the silent, dangerous curiosity that kept me awake at night and smiling during the day. One morning, while watching the waves, he said, "Do you ever wonder how this started? How you ended up here with me?" I smiled, looking at him. "It started the moment you walked into my life. The moment I realized I couldn't ignore you." He smirked faintly, dark and mysterious. "And now, where do we go from here?" "Anywhere," I whispered. "Anywhere you want? Anywhere we can be free." He took my hand, squeezing it lightly. "Then we'll start a new chapter," he said. "No secrets, no hiding. Just curiosity, danger, and us." The days that followed were a mix of quiet exploration and thrilling anticipation. Each morning, we woke to the sunlight over the sea. Each evening, we walked barefoot on the sand, our laughter carrying over the waves. Every glance, every touch, every whisper kept the spark alive, making each day feel like both a discovery and a secret. Even now, weeks later, the mystery remains. The curiosity, the danger, the unspoken connection. It's alive, unavoidable, and irresistible. And somehow, I know this story isn't over.